Hello and welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about my favourite team and in my opinion, one of the best fallen giants in the entire game of FIFA 22 that you should definitely give a go on FIFA career mode. We'll be talking about the characteristics and the kind of signings that Forest like to make, going through the squad, telling you the 3 or 4 positions where Forest really do need to strengthen this January, and hopefully giving you the rundown on how to have a really good championship career mode with Nottingham Forest, and hopefully eventually a Premier League one too. Because I'm a season ticket holder and have been for 20 plus years, then I do know quite a bit about the history, but I'll try and keep it nice and light for you guys so we can power through this and you can get started as soon as possible on your career mode. So first of all, let's have a look at the kind of signings that Forest like to make. They recently got a new CEO, Dane Murphy, who they took from Barnsley, who of course did have a very unique set of signing operations. Murphy's continued this transfer strategy at Nottingham Forest, so every single signing since summer this year has had to match all 4 of these different characteristics. They need to be between 18 and 25 years old. They need to be instantly ready to contribute to the first team, so this means no signing reserves or backups. They need to have a higher sell-on value in 1 or 2 seasons from the current year, and they need to be the best value for money that's possible. Now, a couple of these obviously seem pretty obvious. Every single transfer you do, you're going to want to get good value for money. This is obvious, every single club should be doing this. But Nottingham Forest really hasn't been doing this over the past couple of seasons. Aged 18 to 25 especially is not an area that Forest have been excelling in. They've signed lots and lots of players, 29, 30, 31. People like Harriata, who you might know as big names, but they're actually on huge wages and have been loaned out just because they're not good enough for the first team anymore, even though they probably were when they were signed. This is a huge part of the new Forest going forwards, where they're going to have a young team, first team ready, people like Brennan Johnson, who hopefully some of you will have heard about because he is one of the standout young players in the whole of the EFL at the moment. I'm sure the Forest scouts probably will have seen a lot of Brennan Johnson playing against other teams because they do admit that they do want to sign a lot of players from Championship and League One, where he played last season, a lot of players from Scotland, people like Sutar at centre-back, and of course the MLS, which is where American Dane Murphy does like to sign players like Daryl DK for Barnsley last season. So this is the main areas Forest are going to be looking at for new players. But what positions are they also going to want to strengthen this January? Well, it's actually been a bit of a meme for the past 10-15 years that Forest have never had a good left back. Every now and then we'll get a decent one, someone like Yuri Ribeiro or Max Lowe this season, both very good players. But there's always been a problem with them. This year, Lowe and Osei Tutu, on loan from Arsenal, both have very big injury problems. And Gaetan Bong is an even bigger meme, just from his total lack of talent and lack of passion for playing for Forest. With the 2 first choices out, Jack Colback has actually been playing at left back and left wing back, which is by far not the best position for Jack Colback. Weakens the midfield and also weakens left back compared to the first choices. So this is definitely an area Forest are going to look to sign players. The name that's been circling the most is Lee Buchanan, who currently plays for Forest big rivals Derby County. He's going to be very cheap because of the financial problems at Derby, and he's also a Forest fan. He's very athletic, so it does suit the style of play that Forest like to play, and I think he would be definitely very good for you to sign on FIFA. He's only 20 years old, he's got 78 potential, and you are stealing a really talented player from your big rivals who are probably going to get relegated. So there's not a lot wrong with this transfer, and I would definitely recommend you do have a look at Lee Buchanan. On the other side of the pitch, Forest have never really had the same issue with lacks of talent. At right back over the years, Forest have had people like Matty Cash and Chris Gunter, and more recently Jed Spence on loan from Middlesbrough, who's been by far Forest's best defender this season. If you can't keep Jed Spence at Nottingham Forest on a long-term deal, then I think the one you should definitely go for is Reggie Cannon, who currently plays for Boa Vista. He's got bags and bags of pace, he's decent at defending, he's American, so links good with the CEO Dane Murphy, of course, from America. He's good at defending. He can get up and down the pitch in a fullback and wingback position, so he's exactly what Forest need on the right hand side if you can't keep hold of Jed Spence. He will use quite a bit of your budget because he's valued at £6.5 million, but I think he's going to be more than worth it, especially with 82 potential and only being 23 years old himself. Reggie Cannon is definitely a good young player that matches the first team ready, higher sell-on value in a year, and I think he is good value for money compared to some of the other options in the Championship. A couple of other players we can quickly mention are Dewan Jones, New England Revolution. He's good at passing, dribbling, tackling, and he's got good concentration, and he's above average in almost every defensive and offensive metric in the MLS if you look at the analytics. And he's currently ranked first out of all 70 MLS left backs. so he's definitely one to consider. However, if you want to be more ambitious, you could go for someone like Khaki at RC Strasbourg. He's got good pace, good stamina, good strength, good defensive abilities, and although he's not great at going forward, he can cross a really good pass. 5-star weak foot makes him even better, so eventually you could probably train him to cover both the right and the left wing back positions. Definitely one to consider if you would prefer a good, tall French left wing back. The final position that Forest definitely need to strengthen, and you will if you're playing as them on career mode, is up front in striker. So this is of course one of the most fun positions to do, because this player is going to be influential to you getting to the Premier League or for you avoiding relegation, depending on how good you are at the game. Both in real life and on FIFA, Forest rely on Lyle Taylor to be the backup striker. Lewis Graben's almost unusable on FIFA, and Lyle Taylor's not much better. They're both pretty slow, both pretty poor at finishing, and they have missed out on quite a few transfer targets in the last summer window, so this is definitely going to be an area they're going to strengthen this year. They've been linked with Gonzalo Ramos, currently playing for Benfica, who's got a similar profile to ex-Forest striker Nelson Oliveira. Tall, strong, fast and Portuguese, all very, very good, and all linked into that Forest 4 characteristics of being young, first team ready, and going to increase in value. He has potential in the high 80s, so if you can get him on a permanent transfer, definitely do it. But if you can only get him on loan like Forest are trying to do in real life, then I think he's still probably worth it, because he'll develop into a mid-70s player by the end of the first season. Keenan Davis is another player linked in real life, and although he doesn't really have the same pace or anything like that, he is by far the strongest striker that Forest have been linked with. At 6'4" with 93 strength, he's definitely a good target man. He's got a real face if you're into that kind of thing. He's 23 years old. He's not actually that great on FIFA. He doesn't have the best finishing. He doesn't have the best pace, so he's not going to be that usable. But if you do need someone to come on, score a header from a corner in the last minute, then Keenan Davis is probably your man. The final player Forest have been linked with in real life is Falaren Balagan from Arsenal. So this guy's so cheap on FIFA, you can probably just straight up buy him in the first season. He's got good pace, he's got good finishing, about the same level of finishing as Keenan Davis despite being 4 years younger, more potential, and of course, English. He's probably going to get a real face in a couple of updates time, but I think this guy is an absolute steal if you can get him for around the £2 to £3 million mark, because he's more than good enough to back up instantly Lyle Taylor and Lewis Graben, but I think after 1, maybe even 2 seasons, he'll be miles ahead of both the other two. As they decline, they're both in their 30s and this guy's only 19, and I think he would be a really solid option. Other players Forest have been linked with in real life include Marcus Forss at Brentford, who's a bit more of an average player. He's a bit average pace, average finishing, but he is a little bit older, so he's near his peak. And you could also have a look at Alaya Adebayo, who currently plays for Luton Town, who's actually ranked as the best striker in the Championship, better than people like Mitch Rich and Brereton, going from his stats, his expected goals, his heading goals, goals conversions, all of that kind of stuff. He's 6'4", 89 kilos, he's also fast, can finish, almost as strong as Keenan Davies, and you can probably pick him up for around £3 million. So I definitely think you should give this guy a look if you do want someone who's a little bit more ready than someone like Balagan. So that's basically it. We've got a couple of other players we're going to quickly mention that you should definitely give a look. One of those is Scott Twine, who currently plays for MK Dons. He's got good potential, he's got really good agility, he plays centre mid and left winger, so it's a position that Forest could use in both of those as a backup, and I think after maybe 1 season, he's definitely going to be upper Championship level, so no matter who you're playing as, definitely give Scott Twine a go. And the final player in this video we're going to talk about is Josh Bola. He's not very tall, not the most fast, he's not good at defending, but he plays left and right midfield. He's more of a playmaker, and that's something that Forest could definitely use right now. They do actually struggle to create really good chances. Instead, they make lots and lots of kind of average ones. But having a guy like this who can put passes in from the wing, I think would be a really good idea. He's also on a short contract, and he's super cheap, so he's nothing more than a backup. But I think he's got potential to possibly be playoff level in 2 seasons' time. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video and learned something about my favourite team. If you do want to ask me any questions, feel free to do it on Discord. I always love talking about Nottingham Forest. Of course, always love talking about FIFA career mode. And hopefully you guys have a go at this, and hopefully it's as fun for you as it is for me when I know all the players and all the history. If you're interested in hearing a bit more about Forest history, click on the card at the top of the video right now. But otherwise, I'm going to say thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you want to see more like this. Like it and share it if you feel like it. And I'll see you very soon for another video. Thank you and goodbye.